Inspiration, clarity, confidence, and wholehearted business strategy. Welcome to Your Next Chapter, the podcast especially for women in their 40s and beyond who know that business and personal development go hand in hand. Tune in each week for marketing, mindset, and personal growth strategies, along with inspiring stories from women around the world who are creating new businesses and lives that are personally fulfilling and financially rewarding. If you're looking to create a business and life you love, you're in great company. Let's find out what will unfold in your next chapter. I'm your host, Angela Rasmus, and I'm so delighted that you're here. Well, hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of the Your Next Chapter podcast. And today I have a wholehearted conversation with Micaela Becattini, who like me is sitting in some pretty crappy weather here in Sydney today, but looking forward to diving into a conversation that will lift our spirits so they're not like the weather outside. Micaela, thank you so much for spending your time with us today.
Oh, thank you. The pleasure is all mine, and I'm so honored to be here with you.
I'm sure we're going to have a great conversation together. And the way I always love to begin these podcast interviews is to find out about this next chapter for you. You know, everyone that I'm speaking with, where they are today is obviously quite different from where they used to be. And that whole essence of moving into a next chapter I find fascinating. And I know it's hugely inspiring for my listeners to hear the transitions, if I may use that word, that women like yourself move through. So can you give us some background? Is the work you're doing today a next chapter for you? And what did you used to do? What have the changes been?
Yes, of course. Yes. Oh, well, today I can say that I'm ready to shine. I'm ready to shine with all my challenging moments, my scary moments, but also with my exciting moments. And right now, I can say that I'm able to say in fully and unconditional yes to any possibilities that life proposes me. And in fact, I'm here to talk to you. I'm so excited. I'm so ready to move to enjoy this chapter right now, the here and now. And I'm completely ready and devoted to my growth and my evolution. But as you said, it wasn't like that a few years ago. See, Angela, I moved to Australia in 2004. And yeah, I'm Italian, so everyone can hear my accent. And I now live on the northern beaches of Sydney with my Australian husband and my two children. But when I moved, and, I felt I was the typical expat. And, when you move to another country, especially with a culture, way of living or language other than your own is intensive, is difficult, it's challenging. And, for people that move country, we are so excited because we open a new chapter in our life, but at the same time, we have to rewrite our life story. We have to deal with new habits. Even simple thing. We have to create new friends. We have to discover new places that we've never seen before. In some way, we have to redefine our identity. And although our identity is constant, we can find this a strong disorientation that can follow to create can easily make us to create this victim mentality. So what happened when I moved in Australia, I obviously stopped to express myself. I started to blame myself for the decision that I made. I started to blame other people. I started to craving recognition. To maybe also, I remember, Angela, that I used to commit to something that I knew that was impossible to complete, but just before to get attention. I remember when I moved here, I started to work in a human services field because, I had to start in some way. And obviously coming from Italy, when I was at the top of my career as a doctor in clinical pedagogy, having my clinic, having my people, I was well regarded in my country of origin, um, I I was completely devastated. I didn't know how to propose myself. I didn't know how to connect on different level with people. And so what I developed was a disease. So in 2007, I've been diagnosed, and I can openly say, with Crohn's disease. And there I can say that, yeah, that was my resistance to the change.
Mm.
So I reacted to my transition, developing a disease.
Well, it's funny, isn't it? Well, not funny, but when you look at the word disease, and a lot of us look, and when we break that word down, it's dis-ease.
Yes.
So that enormous transition that you went through, which really was an upheaval of everything that you knew.
Yeah.
It's in some ways, I mean, it is not surprising that dis-ease came into your world.
Yeah.
But you said was it Crohn's disease? Is that
Yes,
correct?
correct. Crohn's disease.
Now, that is one that I'm familiar with the word, but I'm not absolutely sure of what it entails. Can you touch on that lightly for us?
Crohn's disease is also called one of the invisible disease because, if you see me, you will never see if there's something inside me. Crohn's disease is basically is an immune system disease, and it creates ulcers inside your colon, and all these ulcers can, start from your gut till your mouth, and basically the body eats himself.
Oof,
The body eats itself, and unfortunately, all of us, display different symptoms. And one of, for me, the major symptoms actually is reactive arthritis. So Crohn's disease can also cause reactive arthritis. So now I'm living with this. It's manageable now. I found a way to manage my life. But you can imagine years ago here in Australia, just with my husband, not having family surrounding me, at that stage, not totally able to create a support system because also the victim mentality. It's been hard. I felt isolated. I felt not understood. And sometimes, it could still happen now. A lot of problem that women with Crohn's disease have is actually a social isolation. Because what happened, I could now talk to you and I'm feeling really well, but in 2 hours, I could feel totally sick and not being able to move. So it's really hard to other people to understand that and say, why? I talked to you 10 minutes ago and now you cannot come and have a coffee with me. So, and years ago, I used to run support groups for women with Crohn's disease. And I would say that the main difficulties is isolation, shame, because when you talk about, your colon, your guts, people is really embarrassed about it. But look, I'm here now. I'm talking to you. I have children. And at that stage, doctors say, it would be really difficult for you to have children. Now I have 2 healthy children.
That's brilliant. And this whole idea, I'd like to touch back on, as you said, that with Crohn's disease in particular, those feelings that came up, the embarrassment, the shame. Now, I'm a huge believer in subjects that people don't like talking about, most need to be talked about, because that whole concept that Brené Brown speaks about, that if you leave shame in the closet, in the dark, it feasts on itself, it festers, it grows. It needs secrecy and darkness to be able to grow. And when you actually open the door, bring the subject out into the light and talk about it and discuss it, then shame disappears. It cannot flourish in the light. And so I love the fact that you started a support group to connect with women who were feeling those similar feelings. It's something that I've spoken about, openly in my community as well, as someone that suffered from addiction, that is in sobriety and recovery. And that's a topic that a lot of people don't like to talk about because it's got shame attached to it. But I say, bugger that. It's something that needs to be spoken about so other women can hear those experiences and step forward into the light themselves. So go you, is my perspective.
Thank you. But at that stage, I understand when I was really, really sick, I was absorbed by that victim mentality. So I didn't go out and express myself, but right now with some work, hard work, now I'm here ready and open. I'm an open, book for everyone. So yes, it takes time. It takes really time.
And the concept of, and I know this is the work that you do in the world, this concept of helping people move through transitions, those challenges that we find ourselves with, and those areas of mastering your mindset. So you're saying getting out of that victim mentality and taking that control again and understanding what your emotions are and how to work through them and really tapping into your resilience. Those are the areas that I know are strongest in the work that you do. And I think for anybody, and this is what I'd like to dive into, but I'm thinking for anyone listening, the transition that you went through, a massive geographical one, and then a health issue, and then, coming out and shining. But it doesn't matter what the transition is that you may be in. If you're listening today, it doesn't matter where you are right now, the same pieces of the puzzle that Micaela will talk to us about now can be used to bring you through that challenge. So the tools that you use, Micaela, I hope I'm right in saying that they can be used to bring people through any sorts of challenges that they're in. Is that right?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, one of the things I noticed when I went to your website, which I adore, was one of my favourite quotes. When I let go of what I am, I become what I might be. So let's have a look at that. Let's have a look at letting go of what it is that's holding you back or keeping you stuck or giving you that feeling of victimization in a challenge and share with us how we can start to use these tools to come out the other side.
Yes. I'm so happy to discuss about this. Look, what I always say and what I did in those situations, there is nothing to do to surrender and let go and accept the cycle of loss. As you said before, whether we are to deal with a personal or professional transition, the cycle is the same. We cannot accept, unfortunately, the pain. Otherwise, if we do not accept the pain, we will never be able to appreciate and be grateful for what we will become or we are or we want to do in our life. So accept the cycle of loss with its three stages: the ending, the no longer and not yet, and the beginning stage. That is fundamental. We cannot going through a personal and emotional transition if we do not surrender and let go. How can we do that? First of all, yes, okay, we developed this cycle of this victim mentality. It's okay. It's not a crime. Those patterns of victim mentality actually help us. Those patterns of victim mentality make us unique because those patterns really help us to cope with life challenge and adversity at that stage because we didn't have other capacity. But right now, you have a choice. We have to surrender, let go, knowing that we have the power to make choices.
So we're saying that concept of the victim mentality, which I guess when I hear that, I think of the poor me's, that why is this happening to me?
Yes.
It's so unfair, etc. So not to fight that, are you saying to allow us to do a little bit of wallowing? It's okay to do a bit of wallowing.
Yes.
That's part of the cycle, that it's inevitable, that no one can really go from here I am, I've had, and then bang, there's this huge shock or transition and I'm not going to wallow for a while. That would be impossible to contemplate.
Absolutely. Look, the transition process is really personal, but it could take time to change habit. It could take time to heal and move forward. It cannot happen in a month. So, we are human beings. So we need to have those kind of feelings to move forward. They are part of us. But, what we could also do is to, understand and be friendly our emotions. And we can do that, give them a name. We are so scared to talk about emotion. We are so scared to become emotionally aware and emotionally available. We should start to talking about emotion and writing about them. As this process will help us to define the content of the emotion themselves. By writing, talking, and giving name to the emotion themselves will become demystified and controlled. So this is really important. We cannot be afraid of our emotions.
I think that's a really important point, and I'm a huge believer in the power of language, and I think these two are tied together. So, for example, I'm feeling angry. Well, that's a simple word. If we dig under the surface of that word, there are so many different versions of angry. You know, I'm slightly ticked off versus I'm enraged versus, and
Yes.
all the other, the nuances of emotion that can run through there. So a good idea, what I'm hearing you saying is to dig down and really understand and describe the emotion. Don't just leave it at the surface level so that you can get to know what it's all about.
Yes. And you know what, also, where I hear often when I'm working with my clients, they come to me and I say, "Oh, I'm so depressed." You're so depressed. I you know what depression is? People use the wrong terminology instead to use the real emotion. You are not depressed. You maybe are unhappy right now. You may be angry right now, but you're not depressed. You know what? Did you understand what happened here? That sorry, people is so scared to really dig down, and they already labeled themselves.
So what is the benefit, the outcome, the joy that awaits us if we do have the courage to dig down and actually get into the emotions? Because when I could hear someone going, "Well, why is that important? Like, I'm angry, right? That's what it is," or "I'm upset, big deal." So why is it important for us to get a better understanding, a broader or a deeper, more resonant description of what it is that we're feeling?
Because we need to be when before to really plan your life goals, and I'm not talking just professional goals, but your life goals, you need to be self-aware. If we are made by emotions. Our when we start to talk, when we think, this creates emotions. So to align our life with everything that surrounds us, we need to show who we really are. And we are made by emotion. If we do not express this, we won't be able to fulfill relationship. We won't be able to express our needs. We won't be able to really create synergy around us. And we won't be able also to plan, not just, because we always say, we need to plan goals. How easy is that? I don't need to go through my emotion and my needs. The right process is different. The foundation is different of being a human person. The process is that, first of all, you need to know your emotion, you need to know your needs, you need to know your wants, and you need to know your desires. When you are sure about that, here we are, you can rediscover and recreate your values as an evolved person. To
Yeah,
tell,
I think self-awareness is definitely a superpower.
yes, so all of this is part of us. So emotional needs, how can not we are able to talk of what we need? And obviously needs are attached to our emotions. So
Absolutely.
otherwise, we bottle up everything. We started to create this mask around us. We can, deny the first time. We can brush away the second time, but the third time, how emotion will hit us.
Yeah, you can certainly get sideswiped by them if you're not staying attached to them. That is very true.
Yes.
So if we're thinking of that, so the emotions are coming up. We've had the victim mentality process, and we've wallowed for a little while, and then we're becoming aware of the emotions that we're feeling. We're giving them more texture and depth so that we can get back in touch with those wants and needs and desires. So
Yep.
if we're looking at that cycle of loss, those emotions are all going to be, running around during that ending part. So
Yes.
this part of your life, or this particular thing that was happening, has gone now, like a relationship ending, moving country, a job role, children leaving home, lots of different things. So could cause that needing to come to terms with an ending. So
Yeah.
those emotions are swirling, and now we're into the place of, well, it's no longer that, but it's not yet this. So that's that transition phase that you'd be talking about that comes next in the
Yes.
cycle, yeah?
Yes.
So what do we do with our emotions, and how do we handle that? Well, I'm no longer that, but I'm not yet this. So in that place of uncertainty, how do we deal with that?
I want to clarify that your past will always be part of yourself. You can, because people say, "Oh, how can you say not to consider our past or our loss?" They will be always part of you.
Yes.
But so now you made a choice, because if you are through a transition process, that means that you made a choice to go forward. So when you are in a no longer and not yet stage, it's time probably for you to discover your strength, or rediscover your strength, or dig your hidden strength. So it's because you don't know where you will go yet. You don't know really what you would like to do yet, but you can start to work on your strength, in your personal strength. And another thing that you could do is started to write what I call, for example, a list of absolute no's. So, for example, right now, you need to, in the middle stage, it will be really good if you start to revise what you do for self-care and what you do for yourself. And in this stage, it becomes natural for you to raise the standard of what you are willing to tolerate or not. So you will also find that certain habits no longer reflect your process of transition. So the idea of compiling a list of no's is good, as you can see that as a reminder of what you are no longer willing to accept. I'll give you an example, because I have this list of no's on my desk. For example, a simple one could be, okay, right now, in this stage of my life where I don't know what I really want to become, but also I know that I don't want to go back to the ending. Maybe I could say, not express my value, my beliefs of my emotion. Or you could say, spend time or relationship that are not in line with what I am or what I want to be. Or you could say, think about my work when I'm not at work. Yes, because so your list will tell a lot about you in this stage. So you have to try to think what you are not doing or what you want to stop doing.
I think I love that concept of a list of absolute no's. When you're speaking of that, I really get this clear picture of, there's a blank slate. Okay,
Yes.
you now get the opportunity to write or rewrite
Yes.
what the future is going to look like. Now that can be scary, because that means that you're actually starting to really put yourself first. And
Yes.
I think for a lot of women that are in, well, my audience is mainly in our 40s and beyond, when we're getting to this midlife part where a lot of us have spent a lot of time taking care of others and almost subjugating our desires and our values. And I know that's a little bit of a stereotype, but stereotypes are often rooted in truth. And
Yes.
especially if you're a mother, and there's a good chance that you have been putting your own needs and desires to one side. And sometimes it's difficult to get back in touch with them. But I think with the process that you're talking of, if you are honouring your emotions, if you're doing the work to really identify how you're feeling, then you're going to get closer to being able to work out what it is that you don't want to tolerate, and you don't have to show anyone the list. You can keep it.
Yes.
You
No.
can keep it a secret for a
Yes.
while.
Yes. And you can always add something new, because we always evolve. So you can keep your list on your journal or in your pocket, and you can always add something new.
Well, I think we should challenge everyone who's listening right now is to start that list of absolute no's, and let us know one of the things on your list, because I think it's surprising. Well, not actually surprising when women do start to share this and start to have these conversations about what is no longer okay. That it actually would embolden and empower others to step up and go, you know what, I feel the same way, and to actually start finding their voice.
Yeah. Yes. And yeah, it's such a simple activity, but
Yeah.
yet powerful.
I love it. I really love it. I'm definitely gonna share that one. Yeah. So we're discovering or rediscovering our strengths, and we're starting to write this list of what it is that needs to change. Now that we're in this transition period, we're starting this new leaf. We're stepping into this next chapter. So what's the next phase? This is when we're moving into that beginning stage of something new.
Yes, something new.
And
And I often say, and people can criticize this, but I would say at the beginning of the beginning stage, we probably should start to focus on our fears. Because, if we focus on our fears in the previous stages, we wouldn't have the capacity to do that. But now we feel stronger, we feel positive, we feel enthusiastic of what we could create. It's time to face our fears. It's time, again, to grab a pen and paper and write down what are our fears, what really could happen if we face our fears. And what we always say, let those fears walk beside you, but not in front of you. Because like emotions, fear are part of us. So, accept the fear, recognize your fears, write them down. Try, although it's not possible to solve every problem that we encounter in our life, it is important to always consider possible solutions. So here, the advantage of write everything down. When the second step that I suggest is to start to create a strong support system. In this stage now, because you are, you can share your positive energy, because right now on this stage, you are willing to do. You are so charismatic. So it's time to create a support system of like-minded people. It's so important. And for me, when I moved here, I feel so alone, and I feel that no one could understand me. I can now tell you that since I opened my business 5 years ago, I found and connected to extraordinary people. Because, anyway, for me, my world is, the entrepreneurial world. And I met so many, even men and women, they are having similar goals to mine. They are having similar needs. I say similar, not same. And so I could create this synergy, but we need people around us. Like we also need our relatives. So if it's possible in this stage, go back and reconnect to your relatives. Go back and do something with your partners. Go back and, rewrite your values that you would like to have around your children, or the values that you would like to have as an evolved person, as an evolved wife, as an evolved worker, as an evolved parent. So, and basically you are writing your life story.
absolutely, and that concept of having that support structure around you. I was actually reading. I can't remember where it was this morning. This when I was doing my morning reading, and someone was talking about that. Even if you have just one person beside you who believes in you, who shares that vision, I call them belief buddies. Someone that, when the chips are down, you can go to a belief buddy and they can lift you back up again. You support them, they support you. So having, just starting with that point, that there could be that one person who understands the journey, and particularly if you're stepping into the entrepreneurial world, I think that's vital. It's things have changed a lot these days where we can, be setting up business from home. We can have an online business, for example. But that can actually sometimes lead to isolation, because we can do everything from our laptops sitting in our little offices. Yeah. But that human connection, that getting the courage to step out and to reconnect with new people is just such an important part of this moving into a next chapter. How did you take those first steps?
Um, I actually, I actually again use my journal and my pen, and I jot down really. I jot down my thought. I jot down, my vision. I jot down my needs, and then I was thinking, who is around me right now? And next to thoughts, values, needs, I written names of people that similar to me. And you need to be courageous. You need to do the first step. Nothing comes from the sky. We have to create our life. Like, our life, I always say that our life and our business is not a prepackaged object and ready for use. So we need to, we need to be devoted to this. We need to generate connection. So when you do that, when you started to write, your thought, your emotion, your values, and next to them, the people that think are similar to you, that is the first step to tap into your resilience, because you will see how resilient you are because you have already that support that you need. So this is what I did at the beginning of the third stage. I really written down the name of people, and then I connected with them. I was open with them. And, I don't say to go to everyone and blah, talk about, and in 30 seconds, talk about your life. You have to do it in, little steps, but you have to do the first one. You have to be, really devoted to your well-being. And being devoted to your well-being, it means taking action.
I like that. Baby steps of courage is what we're talking about here.
Yes. Yes.
But I loved your description that your life and business is not pre-packaged and ready for use.
Yes.
It's not like just add water and it's all done. So it's really, to me, as I'm hearing you talk, it's about what's your specific recipe? What is the recipe for joy, for happiness, for fulfillment for you? And you don't always know what all those ingredients are going to be. So it's just taking those baby steps of courage towards the things that you feel curious about, or towards the people that you're feeling a bit of resonance for. Because I can guarantee this one from personal experience. If you're feeling drawn to somebody, it's because you're supposed to have some sort of connection with them, and there is every possibility that they are feeling something similar. Every possibility, because that, if we want to get into this for a moment, the whole world is a vibrational, energetic place. And when we are attracted towards people, it's because we are similar. And when we don't feel that resonance with somebody, it's because they're ready for someone else. So follow your heart in that respect, isn't it, to really move forward?
Oh, yes. Look, there is no tactics, no strategies. It's really being a human being. Yes.
That's a good one. So resilience. Now, resilience I know is a large part of the message that you have to share. So what's your definition of resilience? What does it mean and what does it look like?
I think that you can really start to understand your resilience in a middle stage when you're working on your strength. And look, you could work with your strength in every stage of your life, anytime and everywhere. Because when you realized that you have already overcame obstacle in your life, that means they are resilient. And, we become more resilient when we really are open to accept our life story. So resilience is not that we born like that. It's something that it considers our background, our education, incorporates all the part of us, all the aspects of our life. But you can really understand if you're resilient, if you have overcame something in your life. And we all did that. We came in this world. We were in our mother womb and we came out. So, that is the first step of being resilient. We have to adapt to this world. So if we did at that time, what we can do now? Resilient, again, as I said before, try to see who could help you. Try to see how you can outsource. do the first step, because resilience is in you. You need just to develop and develop there, and you will never stop. It's like healing. Healing is a life journey. So be resilient is a life journey, but you need to be open to accept and to give. That is the first message of be resilient. And because you're doing it at school too. We started from school.
And I think when you were saying before about the importance of the self-awareness, I believe that if you actually sat down there with pen and paper, asked yourself the question, where have I been resilient in my life today? And really do this open-heartedly without that, well, not really, I've never really done it. If you look back, there is, because no one gets to this stage of life unscathed. As you said, we've all come through things, but we forget. We're so busy looking forward at the challenges ahead, or what's happening today, what's on our plate. But if we took that time to pause and look back with hindsight, I believe that you would see plenty of evidence where you've overcome a challenge, when there's been something difficult that's been thrown in your path, and when you first looked at it, it was like, oh my goodness, how am I going to get through this? But you did. The very fact that you're here right now listening to this podcast, you've got through something to be here. So I think if we actually did take stock, did a little bit of a warehouse check on our lives, we would find plenty of evidence where we're resilient. So it's not that you're developing a new skill, it's really that you're polishing up and strengthening an old one that already exists within you.
Yes, absolutely. And and you, as you said, write down, and also write down what you did at that moment. What you did there, who helped you at that moment, because and you could do the same right now, and you could also have the same people around, they could help you now. You never know.
And that's really important, that message that you just said there. Who helped you? You don't have to do this alone. There are no medals for gritting your teeth and going, no, I'll get through this alone. Put your hand out. We know, I've often spoken about this, of how good it feels when you give to another person. It feels wonderful. So by allowing other people to give to you when you need the help, you're gifting that same feeling, that same opportunity to another person. So I think asking for help is one of the best and most generous things that we can actually do.
Yes, and another message that I would like to give: there is not a crime to be sensitive. I'm a highly sensitive person.
Thank goodness, I would have been locked away years ago.
I know. So it's not a crime, and it's not a crime to show our vulnerability. Yeah. So please ask for help. It's out there. It's full of people that would like to give you, without anything in exchange. It just, we are kind people. We need to live in a kind world, and we need to, be constantly grateful and appreciate, because life can really give us opportunity. And at times could be difficult to see that, but if everyone say it, if I'm here now to talk to you, is because can happen.
I love the feeling that I've loved during our conversation today, Micaela, as we bring it around, is the feeling of positivity that radiates from you. And, you're somebody that has really had to face and overcome some enormous challenges, that whole concept of transitions. And that, what I think this teaches us is that the strength actually comes from moving through the transition. The person that you are on the other side will surprise you. The person that you become on the other side has such a story to tell and to share, which can really help other people, which to me is the essence of a next chapter business. They're built on skinned knees. They're built on, those hard-won experiences which will shorten the journey for another person. So I know with you, you've actually compiled this experience into a book that's coming out soon. Could you tell us about that? Because I'd love to hear a little more.
Oh, Graceful Transition. Yes, Graceful Transition is a collection of all. And actually, you will see also some techniques there, activities there today. Is a collection of tips and expressive exercises that everyone can use when they are facing with a life of personal professional transition. And is for everyone, is also for coaches or therapists. And it's a really short book with an intent for people to really read it and not to leave them on a bookshelf. And, it's my first one. I hope to write another one soon, and it will be published. So, yes, I'm really excited about that. And it's not a book where I really talk about what is a transition, because you can find other books that talk about that. It's really practical. It's full of tangible exercises that you can do and tangible results that you can have.
And that's what we want. There's a lot of shelf help, but this is true self help. This is actually something that I've been looking at lately, because I read and read and read. I eat books for breakfast. I love it, but there's such a difference between just reading something and thinking, "Oh, that was good," and then it floats away, versus reading something, taking a concept, and actually implementing it, actually doing the exercises, because that's when you see the results.
Yes, and they will also be on a printed copy. There will be the space when you can write on. So it's really is a handbook. Really, it's like a workbook. So you can write on the book if you want, or you can write on your journal.
Brilliant. So it's a handbook, it's a workbook for transitions in life, which we're all going to face many of them. And there's a lot of joy on the other side, as you've shown to us in this interview today. Well, we'll make sure that, I know that there will be a free chapter available, which I'll have on the podcast page, so that people can access that through your website, to give them a taste of what it's like to experience that, the exercises that can take you through transition and have you coming out blooming on the other side. Well, Micaela, thank you so much for the time you spent with me this morning and with us. Now, if people want to come and find out more about the work that you're doing in the world and dive down more deeply into your own transition for inspiration for them, where can they find you online?
They can find me on my website, which is micaelabecattini.com.au, and it's micaelabecattini.com.au. My Facebook page is facebook.com/Micaela.life transition specialist. On LinkedIn, Micaela Becattini, and in other Facebook groups.
Brilliant. Well, I'll make sure that those links are on the page on my podcast as well, so that you're just a click away for someone that needs to have the power of example of how to gracefully move through a transition and blossom in their next chapter. So thank you, my darling. I've really appreciated the time you've spent with us.
Oh, thank you, Angela. I'm so honored and happy. Thank you.
And for everyone who's listening, if you are sitting in the midst of a transition yourself right now, take heart. That reinvention that is possible for you, that getting clear on what you are feeling and not fighting those feelings. As Micaela has shared with us today, that need for acceptance so that you can get unstuck and move forward, but no beating yourself up. This cycle that we need to move through can take some time, depending on what it is that you're facing. But rest assured, just as Micaela has, and so many other women who are around you who are going through transitions, you're going to come out the other side and you're going to shine. So thanks again for tuning into this podcast. This is Angela Raspis, wishing you a gorgeous day, and I'll talk with you again very soon. Thanks for listening to the Your Next Chapter podcast. If you've enjoyed this episode, please let me know. Pop over to angelaraspis.com to subscribe to the show and leave a review. And whilst you're there, you can also enjoy valuable free resources, including show notes and downloads, along with the Next Chapter community, where you can connect with other wholehearted women on the same journey as you. We'd love to welcome and support you as your next chapter unfolds. See you next time.